Alrighty, welcome in to another sports podcast, guys. This week we have Week 17 NFL Power Rankings games and playoff picture. You know what we do. My name is Big Nate, aka Always Triggered. I'm going to go ahead and get you the power rankings from 32 to 1 in my unique 3-segment style, which will conclude in the top 10. We'll go ahead and take a look at that playoff picture in a little more detail, let you guys know how this postseason is beginning to shape up. Get you that Week 17 game slate in this episode, as well as the top 5 games of the week. Let's go ahead and get started with that basement. The team 32, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. 31, the Detroit Lions. 30, Carolina Panthers. 29, Seattle Seahawks. 28, New York Jets. 27, New York Giants. 26, Houston Texans. 25, Chicago Bears. 24, Washington Football Team. 23, the New Orleans Saints. 22, Denver Broncos. And the 21st ranked team, the Atlanta Falcons. Go and flip it over to my article view. Guys, by the way, my article where you can read every team's blurb is in the description below. This week, I incorporated information from the website 538.com. They had some good statistics of the percent chance certain teams would have to either win their division or make the playoffs. So I incorporated some of that statistical data into my podcast here today and into my article. If you want to give that a read, I'd greatly appreciate it. So looking over the basement here, some noticeable changes. The Jets moved up 3 spots. They are now ranked 28. I thought Zach Wilson played an excellent game. He went ahead and stunted all over the Jaguars defense, who showed no signs of trying to slow him down at all. He had one phenomenal run. If you hadn't seen it, I would highly suggest that you check that run out. I believe it was 52 yards. Yeah, great run. And it was a touchdown as well. The Washington Football Team, another team that we can talk about real briefly here. They got drubbed by the Dallas Cowboys, losing 56-7. They now have a 7% chance of making it into the postseason. Ian Book for the New Orleans Saints had a game to forget. He got harassed all night long in his performance. I believe he got sacked 8 times. It was something brutal to see. He threw a pick 6 there right in the beginning, and he only had 3 days to prepare for that game. You know, he is a rookie, so we shouldn't get too negative on him. I wasn't the highest on him coming out of college, but at the same time, I don't want to destroy the young man. He just had a really, really bad day, and that's all we'll say about that one. The Broncos, I think, have statistically the slimmest chance of making the playoff at 0.1%. So I don't know what kind of scenario that would entail, but I would imagine quite a few things would have to happen for the Denver Broncos to make the playoffs. And then lastly here, we'll talk about the Falcons, who moved up 3 spots. They are in contention for the playoffs, representing a 2% chance to make it to the dance. All right, let's move right along here to the Fringe. At 20, I have the Cleveland Browns. 19, the Steelers. 18, the Minnesota Vikings. 17 is the Philadelphia Eagles. 16 is the Las Vegas Raiders. 15, San Francisco 49ers. 14, Miami Dolphins. 13, Arizona Cardinals. 12, Baltimore Ravens. And 11 is the LA Chargers. Keep in mind, guys, the ranked 11 and 12 teams, both teams lost, did not move in my rankings, which was very interesting to see when I had completed where I was putting all the teams in order this week. We're going to touch more on those 2 teams here in one of my later segments. The Cardinals had a terrible outing. I believe they're going through what the Titans went through when they're without DeAndre Hopkins, who, by the way, is not going to be back unless they make a deep playoff run. Their offense is very much limited. Kyler Murray is not playing nearly as good football as he was earlier in the season. The Dolphins have moved up 6 spots in my ranking. They continue to win. Very impressive turnaround here. After losing 7 games in a row earlier this season, they have now strung together 7 victories in a row. They sit at 8-7 and have a 32% chance of making the playoffs. It'd be quite interesting to go back to when they were 1-7 and see what that percent chance that they were making the playoffs would have been. I'm pretty sure it would have been nowhere near 32%. I guess the only other thing I'd like to address here in the Fringe is that all of these teams absolutely have to win. Losses at this time of the year for any of these Fringe teams are going to be devastating. Basically in must-win mode here for the last 2 weeks of the regular season. Let's go ahead and jump right on over to my top 10 teams of Week 17. At number 10, the Tennessee Titans. Off the performance of A.J. Brown, to be honest with you. 10 catches for that man, 145 yards and a touchdown. He absolutely went off. If they can get Derrick Henry back, I believe in the Titans, who are right now the number 2 seed. Number 9, the New England Patriots. So I said it last week. If the New England Patriots can't run, they look completely different. And that's exactly what Buffalo did. It took them out of their running game, and the Patriots looked vastly different. Had some turnovers there. They still look good to win enough games here to make the playoffs. They're a 94% chance to make it into the playoffs. However, they only have a 10% chance to win their division. Number 8, the Cincinnati Bengals. They currently lead the AFC North, which is jam-packed, as it has been almost the entire year. They are still the healthiest and most explosive team, in my opinion, in that division. And they have a huge, huge game this week. All right, number 7, the Buffalo Bills. So Buffalo played aggressive from the jump in their last game. I thought Josh Allen was very much their entire team in a certain way. I do feel that Buffalo Bills are very dependent on Josh Allen. It makes them both equally scary and fun to watch. Very interested to see where the Buffalo Bills finish this year and who they will face once they make the playoffs. Number 6, the LA Rams. So I think the LA Rams didn't play a great game by any sense. Matthew Stafford, of course, throwing multiple interceptions in their last game, the win over the Vikings. They still have some gaps in their defense where they give up chunk plays, and I do still see that as something to do with continuity and cohesion. They don't have a lot of time to get it all ironed out. At 11-4, they are still a very powerful team, but they definitely have some room to improve. Number 5, the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are about as red hot as any team in the NFL. You could say the Dolphins are right up there with them. I would say the Colts simply because of the competition that they've played. They are very impressive. That win against the Cardinals, equally impressive. That was not an easy out to go to Arizona and get the victory. Number 4, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So big games from AB, who had 10 receptions for 101 yards, Ronald Jones, who had 20 carries for 65 yards, and Gronk actually caught some balls as well. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers very much so are dealing with their injuries, trying to piece everything together. They still have the GOAT Tom Brady and sit at number 4. Number 3, the Dallas Cowboys. So the Dallas Cowboys offense definitely started to come back to life there. They did have a special teams touchdown and a defensive touchdown. So the 56 points wasn't all from their offense, but their defense, like I said, continues to shine. Stephon Diggs caught his 11th interception of the season, which is just absolutely phenomenal. And if the Dallas Cowboys are playing great in all phases of the game, they are going to be one of the toughest teams to beat this postseason. Number 2, the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Chiefs beat the brakes out of the Steelers. They continue to play very strong here and show that they are by far and away right now the best team in the AFC. And the number 1 best team in the NFL, the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers does what Aaron Rodgers does. I mean, this man is phenomenal. He's in the conversation for MVP. Their defense still is better than I've seen in any of their recent past. And to be honest, it really is all or nothing for the Packers. It's championship or bust for them. We all know this, so I'm excited to get them closer and closer into the playoffs and see where this thing ends up. All right, time for my new segment, guys. The push for the playoffs, or the playoff preview. I went ahead and put the teams up here by seeding. As you can see in the NFC, we have 5 teams that have clinched a playoff spot. And those include the Packers, Cowboys, Rams, Bucks, and Cardinals, who right now would sit in that order, 1 through 5. We have a total of 6 teams, 49ers, Eagles, Vikings, Falcons, Saints, and football team that are battling for those last 2 spots. Now, on the AFC side, this is where it gets really interesting. In the AFC, only 1 team, the Kansas City Chiefs, have clinched not only their division, but a playoff chance or appearance. The rest of the AFC teams here from 2 to 13 can either finish anywhere from 2 to completely out of the playoffs and damn near the bottom of the entire conference. So very much a roller coaster here. Remember those 2 teams we were talking about earlier, the Chargers and the Ravens, who are ranked 10 and 11 in my ranking. If the playoffs were to start today, neither of those teams would make the playoffs. That is right. So the 10th and 11th best team in the NFL, in my opinion, would not even make the playoffs if the playoffs started today. That blows my mind. It also goes to show you what playing hot toward the end of the year looks like. Teams like Miami and Indianapolis, who in the beginning of the year we didn't think they would be in, are right there in the wild card, taking those spots from teams like the Chargers or the Ravens. The AFC, like I said, has 12 teams battling for those last 6 spots. Went ahead and put the if the playoffs started today bracket up for you just to see what these matchups would be if they went ahead and got started this weekend. Of course, you would have the Packers and the Chiefs on bye week. You would have the Eagles and Dallas Cowboys playing, as well as the 49ers and Rams playing. I thought that was very interesting to see, as both of those games would be divisional matchups in the wild card round. In the AFC, we would have a bunch of good matchups as well. So the Chiefs would be off. You'd have the Dolphins facing off against the Titans, the Patriots versus the Bengals, and the Colts versus the Bills. Of course, that Colts-Bills game would be a rematch of that Jonathan Taylor game that he had. All right, and let's go ahead and get you over to my Week 17 game slate. This week, we have no Thursday or Saturday games, so keep that in mind. On Sunday, we have a big 1 p.m. slate. We have Atlanta at Buffalo, the Giants at Chicago, Kansas City at Cincinnati, Miami at Tennessee, Vegas at Indianapolis, Jacksonville at New England, Carolina at New Orleans, Tampa Bay at the Jets, Philadelphia at Washington. At 4:05, we have a pair of games there. Denver at the Chargers, Houston at Frisco. 4:25 has 3 games. You have Arizona at Dallas, Detroit at Seattle, the Rams at Baltimore, and then the Sunday nighter is Minnesota at Green Bay. And we do have a Monday night game, guys. Our last Monday night game of the year will be Cleveland at Pittsburgh. So I'll leave that up here for just an additional second. Most likely, unless you're a Cleveland or Pittsburgh fan, your team plays on Sunday, and everyone in Week 18 will be playing on Sunday as well. Let's go ahead and get moved over to the top 5 games of Week 17. So you can see what's on my radar. At number 5, I have the Browns and Steelers. I went ahead and incorporated the ranking in this here so you can see where I rank them. So this is my 20th ranked team versus the 19th ranked team.